What's up, rock stars? In this video, I'm going over the struggles that I had installing an aftermarket head unit in an E46. So this vehicle has the factory navigation unit where there's a screen and there's a tape player up front, and pretty much everything else is in the trunk. So it's a lot bigger job than just putting in a quick, easy head unit. So this connector is actually pretty difficult to disconnect. So you can see, if you look at it real closely, there's a picture of a screwdriver right there. So just pop a screwdriver under there, pry it up, and it did come out. So that's not too bad. Alright, so the first good thing I found is my adapter that I have actually fits into this connector, which I was pretty sure it was gonna fit. Perfect. Just gotta tighten that down. So that's good. So technically I could just wire the radio up here. Obviously I'm not gonna have the radio in my trunk, so I need to run these wires to the front, which is gonna be a pain, but at least it connects to that. So that's good. Alright, so here's another bump in the road. There's this amp that once I plug that connector into here, the speaker wires go to this amp and then obviously out to the speakers. So I'm gonna have to figure out what to do with that, whether I disconnect this and just cut these and splice those together. I don't know yet. So with all of these disconnected, this is all factory. So we had our 6-disc changer, we had our navigation DVD. This is the radio, it seems like, or the actual head unit, minus the screen, and then here's the amp. So all that stuff's in there. So I'm taking all that out. Look at this mess of wires. This is ridiculous. All right, fun. I forgot that I left a tape in there. I had to hook it all back up. STP. So as I was thinking about taking out this head unit, I was a little bit sad that I'm probably not going to have a vehicle with tapes anymore, or at least this potentially could be the last vehicle I ever have with a tape player. On the flip side, I really like 80s and 90s vehicles, so this probably isn't the last vehicle I'll ever have with a tape player, but it could be. Alright, so now I'm going to take this faceplate off. I had already pulled up the trim. That just comes up, it just comes straight out. There's no screws holding that on. There was a couple screws right in that area, so I'd already taken those out. And I just need to pop this off. So this just pops up. It's kind of difficult. It might be difficult because it's older. There we go. Kind of sounds like it's gonna break. And then that's still attached right there. I'm just gonna leave that. And this slides out. There we go. It's kind of clipped in. There we go. Oh, check this out. Is that gonna fit? Not really. Let's see if this fits. Oh, is this thing upside down? Oh, look at that. That doesn't look too bad. And that'll go right there. That. So this is roughly what it's going to look like. Now, a lot of you see E46 with the single DIN radio, and they have the heater controls in this position right here. Well, because I knew that and knew a lot of people move them down here, I figured, oh, why don't I get one of these compartments and just put it here. So it looks like I just got to trim the corners a little bit. I'll just shave those down a little bit, but that looks like it fits pretty good. I mean, it's not awesome, but it's definitely cool. I like it. It fits better than I was hoping, so we'll see how the rest of this fits once it's all done. But that's the idea anyway. If I have to, I could move this to where the heater controls are and move the heater controls up here, but we'll try it. So here's how I'm getting the wires at least to the back seat. I took the center console out, and I'm using a fish pretty much for home electrical wiring. I slid it under the carpet right there, over the carpet there, and then through the center console there, and then have it coming up here. And I'll just tie the wires to that and slide it back through. I'm sure there's easier ways I could have done it. I could probably take this center console out completely and try to get under the carpet a little better, but I'm trying to do as little as possible. So all these wires are taped to my fish. I have power, ground, signal to turn on the radio, and then also 8 speaker wires. So 2 fronts, 2 rears. All right, so send that through. Now I'm not running a amp wire because I don't have an amp to turn on an amp, and I'm not running RCAs. If I had RCA cables, I would run those now and run an amp, even though I don't have one, just so that I don't have to do this in the future if I decide to add an amp. But I'm not gonna bother right now. So. All right, so now I'll fish this through as I pull my fish. Step. That actually looks pretty good. I know it looks like a mess, so I'm gonna have to wire all these up and stuff, but that's good. That's the first step. Got the power, ground, and signal wire hooked up. I didn't hook up the speaker wires yet to the connector that goes for the new head unit. I did put the seat back in because when I wanted to test it, I didn't want to get an airbag light. If you turn the key on with the seat connected, you'll probably get an airbag light. And I ran those wires all the way back here. I went through that hole and through the bottom part of the seat and connected them right here. So that's 12 volt power, switch on power, and then ground, which that's all I'm going to use out of this connector, because otherwise if I hook these other wires up, then I'm going to have to bypass this connector and jump all those wires. So that's a waste of time. So I'm not even doing that. So if you're going to do this and you're deciding that you want to replace the radio and you can't find this connector, don't waste your time. Just find power, ground, and signal on the back of here and splice into there. I mean, realistically, how many of you guys are going to go back to stock afterwards? You're not. You're going to keep your aftermarket radios in. So just find power, ground, and signal right there. So anyway, so instead of hooking all these wires up, now I need to find out which wire goes where for these. And I'll cut and splice these. Because like I said, I'm never going back to stock. So I'll just splice into these wires. So for this system, I'm not going to go nuts hooking up all these speakers. I'm going to eliminate this mid speaker, and I'm just going to hook up the lower door speaker and the tweeter. I'm sure it's going to sound fine. And then for the rear, I'm not even hooking that speaker up. I'm just going to have the deck lid speakers. This looks like a complete mess, but what I did was I went through and cut the wires off this connector one at a time, figured out which wire went where, and labeled each individual wire. Here's another tip for the bigger speakers. The wires are actually thicker. If you look at the thickness of the wire, these are all the twisted pair wires, so at least you know that those are the speaker wires. But the thicker wires go to the bigger 6-inch or 6 1/4 speakers, and the skinnier ones are for the tweeters. So just follow the instructions for your radio installation. Mine, the purple wire is the positive, the purple and black is the negative for the right rear speaker. So I'm going to wire that one in first and see how it goes. Okay, so I have everything wired up, all the speaker wires and the power and ground, and that's all set. I did end up having to run the antenna wire, so I figured I'd run some RCAs while I'm there. So I did run an RCA just for an amp in the future, and then another wire to attach to the power wire to turn on the amp. So, and there's my fish in there. So I ran the fish all the way through here and through there. So now I can slide the fish out and button this all up. Antenna wire, and here's the adapter. I actually got this with the radio. The company that I bought the radio from sent me this adapter. So you're gonna need that for the antenna. So I have these two crossovers that I actually use, and so these are the two wires that come off the radio. This is for the left side positive, left side negative, and then this goes to the speaker at the base of the door, and then this goes to the speaker at the tweeter on the door. So that's just gonna make it sound a lot better. All right, so it's all done. It's all back together. My seat's back in, center console's back in. Everything looks great. It works excellent. Back seat's all together, and the wires go right under the seat, under the center console. And you can't see any of those, which is cool. So I feel like it came out pretty good. I'm actually pretty happy with this little door that I added there. That's pretty cool. And this trim piece that I ordered, it didn't really fit the head unit too well. I did have to trim it to make it bigger, but it looks pretty good. It doesn't line up great, but I feel like it's okay for what it is. And as far as the sound goes, this definitely sounds better than the factory head unit, which amazes me because I cut out about half of the speakers. And you would think just the factory unit would sound better, but even for a entry-level head unit, it actually sounds really good. I hope you enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun making it, and I'm extremely happy with the outcome. I hope it doesn't deter you from replacing the head unit in your vehicle. Maybe now you have an idea of what you're getting into. So I'm sure there's other things I could have done differently. If you have any tips or tricks that would have helped me out, leave me a comment below. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. Thanks, guys.